Stephen.
Andrew.
Fancy spending a quiet night inside number 9?
Let's do it.
Yes, let's do it indeed. Welcome. We are going through the scripts again now, and we are diving into Series 6 of Inside Number 9, Episode 1, Wuthering Heist. These episodes, we revisit the episodes that we've looked at in more detail as kind of reactions earlier on. I think we've actually done this twice because this was the start of our misjudged decision to do live reaction episodes immediately after Series 6 aired and try and make some kind of coherent sense of that with a small audience listening in. And then we did a more chilled out version, and now we're going into the script. So what we do is get the script book, read along and see what's different and what is similar and where there are discrepancies and that kind of thing from the final version on the screen. So that's what we're doing. Yeah.
All this means I have quite a troubled relationship with this episode.
Me too. Yes.
Because the first time I watched it, it was misjudged, I think, to leap into that, and I think I have to take at least some of the blame for that. Yes. But also, I don't think that this was a particularly good episode to try and do that, especially as a first time. It's relentless. Absolutely relentless. And you're trying to make sense of what's going on. The dialogue is just fast. There's so much of it. It's a huge script. It was difficult. And trying to watch it with the whole of that series, trying to watch it with the stress of knowing that there was a countdown to going live and having to try and produce something coherent, which we dealt with on the first one, but by not.
Yeah, it was, and I think it really set the tone then for the rest of the series, which was a kind of terror experience, watching every single episode for the first time, thinking, why did we decide to do this? I don't like doing this. And yeah, you're right. I think it's potentially the worst of all of the episodes to have done that with. Maybe Zanzibar. I think Zanzibar's a kind of similar thing, but yeah, it's because of the speed of the dialogue. Like, I remember sitting there trying to make notes of the things that I wanted to remember, and maybe some witty lines, some things that made me laugh. This is full of those, and it's very, very difficult to pay attention and write at the same time as watching something for the very first time. And yeah, it was just chaos. Even now when I'm watching, I'm pausing, I'm going back to stuff, I'm double checking things I've just heard. Knowing that you're on a 30-minute countdown was not conducive to that. It was
at all.
No, and it's been like fun to go back and to actually read the script and realize how much there's like little lines that just went completely over my head or like passed me by, because it is just one thing after another. And you're just saying it's like listening to Tim Vine at double speed, and all of these quick wit one-liner jokes that just keep coming at you. You're like, being pinned to the wall by jokes. But yeah, and I think this episode still kind of divides opinion a little bit. Like, there are quite a lot of people who didn't really like it, and there are people who absolutely loved it. I mean, personally, I think it's a great episode. Like, I don't think I'd put it in my top sort of 5 or 10, but like, it's certainly one that I've enjoyed. I did find it very fun to go back and watch, especially Reese's Scaramouche. I'm thinking of Anthony Scaramucci.
They're very different characters. Very different. I think what's quite interesting is the way that this is all set up as a commedia dell'arte. and the whole thing kind of running like a stage show is that it's quite interesting to see them essentially running a stage show when in a few weeks' time we're going to see what an Inside Number 9 stage show actually looks like.
Yes, quite.
Because I was watching bits of this going, you can see that this is supposed to be being played out on a stage. All the action happening off stage, and then everyone piling back in post event to sort of carry on the show. Yeah.
This would work on a stage for sure, and it'd be quite interesting to see it on a stage. Just skipping right to the very end, something that was missing that I wonder whether we will get in Stage Fright was over the credits, each cast member removes their mask and takes a bow. They didn't do that.
I think probably best not to, actually. I quite like the way it ended with Arlo sort of leaping out.
Yeah.
Just wandering out with himself. As weird as that was as an ending.
Exactly. I like that. Yeah. So let's go through it and see. I was just saying before we started recording, there's not a huge number of things that are different. And I think part of the reason for that is probably that it is all about the dialogue in this and everything being very tightly written. The one-liners, everything bouncing off each other. So yeah,
well, I think that
discrepancies, but
that brings its own. That kind of brings its own challenge, I guess, which is that so much of what is funny about this episode is the way that things are played and the reactions and the facial expressions and all those little things, particularly with Collie and her sort of little chats to camera and things like that. She plays those really well, and I think that it would be easy to just read this script, but I guess that's acting.
It's acting.
It's acted well.
Yeah, and because there are a lot of stage directions in it, but it's not everything is spelled out. So I imagine there would have been a little bit of, quite a lot of input from Stephen Rees, and Guillermo Morales would have given some directions. But I imagine the actors...
It's his job.
I imagine the actors as well had a bit of because there's a few little lines that change that feel like, as we've said in other things, like it feels more natural to particular people to say things in particular ways. But yeah, it is pretty tight.
This must be another tricky one for Guillaume as well, because this is definitely not in his lane either. Because what was the one we were talking about previously that would have been
Lost Great Adventure?
It was apparently tougher. Yeah, he found that really tough because that was not the horror that he's used to. And again, this is essentially a stage show that's been set in a warehouse that's just farcical comedy. This is not Guillermo Morales' natural ground, is it? And
this was COVID restrictions as well, wasn't it? Because they did a bunch of episodes during lockdown when they do this. They wrote some episodes, didn't they? And then they ended up switching a whole bunch of them out, and some of those got shifted into Series 7 and things like that, if I remember rightly. Yeah, I think that 6 and 7 were written and maybe filmed, or were they written at the same sort of time? Is this like a Kid A amnesiac kind of thing going on here? I think that's what I thought at the time. Yeah, it felt like because same sessions. We knew there was definitely a Series 7, and some of the episodes that they'd recorded, that they'd filmed in the lockdown, were part of Series 7. So, yeah, I think if I remember correctly, it's been a while, but it has been a while. Yeah. Did you notice anything kind of in the first? Only that they didn't. I didn't notice strings of bulbs lighting the warehouse at all. I thought it was just standard warehouse lighting, wasn't it? Strip lighting rather than these rather charming sounding strings of bulbs that they mention because it says the empty warehouse is lit with strings of bulbs, giving it a theatrical feel. Tattered red plastic sheeting hangs across the entrance. See, that I hadn't
picked up on, but you see it again, and you do see all of these. That's theatre curtains.
Yeah. There's lots of nods to the theatre. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. That was it really from the beginning. It, like I say, it was all staying very true to script, really. One of the only directions that I picked out near the beginning was that he lifts a biscuit to his mouth rather than his cup of tea. That's about it.
That's good attention to detail. I glossed over things like that. Yeah. I was the slow motion in the external.
Oh, in Pantalone
warehouse day when Pantalone arrives.
Oh, the car isn't in slow motion, is it?
No, and then when he gets out, I don't know what that effect is because it's like a mixture of speed and then slow. Like there's well, it's kind of like what happens with when your internet connection is a bit dodgy where you're filming and you kind of slow down for a second and then the whole recording catches itself up again. Like that. It's like that, but cooler.
Cooler, yeah. Less reliant on Wi-Fi dropouts.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously that slow-mo bit is very important for the Arlo bit next when he's... Yeah. Oh, that's when he... Is it a biscuit rather than a cup of tea?
Yes, it is, yeah. What are you doing? What are you doing? We're not in slow motion anymore.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm a big fan of a fourth wall break in stuff. I enjoy them. I think it's fun. As long as it's not done too often. And I think just dedicating one episode to it that isn't just nods, but a conversation with... Because there was a little bit of in Zanzibar, wasn't there? Because the bellboy was talking to the audience a lot. And I guess that's whenever you're doing these kind of theatre type of things, it's fun to have that little element of talking to an audience.
Yeah.
Because that's a theatre thing, isn't it?
It is, exactly. Yeah. And also, and I think it's this that some people kind of find like question as self-indulgent potentially. But I think it is inviting people into a world that they might not necessarily know and telling them about it. So it depends how you read it.
Is this weirdly like their episode of this series where they... No, because they've got another one this series. Simon Says is this one as well, isn't it? The look behind the curtain.
That's the next one, yeah.
So this isn't even their kind of expose on the business industry in the same way that like And the Winner was and all those kind of episodes. No,
and because I don't think it's necessarily poking fun at it in the sense of like giving a bit of a dig to like those other episodes do, which is like, yeah, there's this part of the industry which we're not that happy about. It's more showing you behind the curtain of the theatre and then explaining certain things like this is why we do this and that kind of stuff, which is done in I would say more of a Stuart Lee style, when he explains what he's doing as he's structuring
meta comedy.
Yeah, the sort of meta commentary of the comedy as he's going along, which is also part of the thing itself.
Yes.
And I think that it takes some doing, because you could get that very wrong, because it could just sound very condescending or lazy even, because you're sort of over-explaining certain things to get people to understand them.
That's what people don't like about Stuart Lee, I guess. If you don't really understand him, it can come across as being smug and condescending because that's a character he's kind of playing.
Yeah.
But here they are outwardly making fun of themselves, aren't they? If you haven't guessed already, it's a sort of cross between Commedia dell'arte and a heist movie. I guess because they both use masks, which is quite clever in a way, but still sounds like something a drama teacher would have a wank to. But hey, it's series 6. You've got to allow for a certain artistic exhaustion.
I wonder if they realised at the time that they would do another. They would do.
Yeah.
Well, they knew about 7, but 8 and 9 as well. Yeah. Yeah, no, I like that. I like that aspect. I think it's yeah, because I think it without it, you do have something just a bit odd, like with the scene where they're with the umbrellas doing the pre-construction of the thing, and it's like seeing Pantalone like doing his little running and things like that. I just love the fact he's like the big boss who kills people, doing his little Amdram or drama student umbrella bit. It's quite nice. So we have a big bit cut, unless there's anything before that. Columbine doesn't hide the letter. That was the only thing that I...
Oh, okay.
But it didn't seem particularly important.
Is this the bit between Pantalone and Arlo after the pigeon gets shot?
Pigeon gets shot. Oop, my bad. And then Pantalone says, "Did you file off the serial number on the gun?"
I did.
Good. We can't risk leaving any trace of our identities behind.
Speaking of which, I also got these, Mr. Pantalone, sir. Arlo pulls some pairs of women's tights from his bag and pulls them over his face and mask. So the cameras don't recognise our faces.
Pantalone stares at him for a moment. Brilliant. Where are mine?
Arlo hands him a pair. Here, and in case you get caught, I made you the biggest denier I could find. If he gets caught, it's denying. Arlo shows the word denier on the packaging, so I think he's mispronouncing it. I don't know. We never filmed. Or it might be filmed. It might be on the cutting room floor somewhere. We see Pantalone is wearing a pair of crotchless back tights and his face pokes through them. What's this? Sorry. They're from the S&M selection.
Over by the entrance, Hortensia is checking her phone when Captain Scaramouche enters. He wears army camouflage gear. Oh, we know this.
We're back here. We're
feathered
back.
Military hat and half a mask with a long nose and bushy moustache. He has a general Euro accent.
Also, his finger guns weren't scripted. When he walked in doing finger guns.
I think Reese, he's just such a great character. This is one of my favourite Reese performances, I think.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's... why do you think that was cut?
Time.
Time. Yeah, it feels a bit surplus to requirements as well.
I think there's a denier joke in there that is quite fun. Although I'm assuming that it might not be. The whole fact that they're all wearing masks and he's bought stuff to go over their faces so they don't recognise them.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny.
Tights over the masks. Yeah.
Tights over the mask. Yeah, the fact that he pulled it over the face and mask.
Yeah, actually, that might have been quite a funny.
I think it is quite funny. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think the denier, because that's in keeping with all of Arlo's misunderstandings, essentially misreadings. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I missed the when Pantalone's saying some gelignite here for you to have a look at. Scaramouche says, "I've already eaten, but thank you." And then Pantalone's like, "No, it's fucking dynamite." I think I missed the fact he's like, "No, it's fucking like the gelatin."
Yeah.
Just beautiful. Gelignite. Maybe a small bowl then. I was like, I appreciate that. That's good.
Yeah. Fucking dynamite. Yeah. I love the idea of calling a sandwich filling the flavour of the sandwich.
Yes.
Is that a flavour? Ham flavoured sandwich? It's a sandwich that's flavoured with ham. No, it's filled with ham.
Is that the case with, you get like those pots of sandwich filler?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen those?
Yes. They're quite bleak in their own way.
They are. They're like mass catering kind of things. Would they be flavourings, or would you just call it?
It depends on what they're made of.
Yeah,
I think if it's not actually tuna, but it just tastes of tuna, that's tuna flavoured spread, isn't it?
And where have you got that flavour from? Yeah.
Crab flavoured sticks. Those things.
Yes.
I'd like a lovely slice of ham. Lean. Arlo leans to the side. I'd like a lovely slice of ham. I bet you're loving this on the cooked and bombed forum, aren't you?
Completely out of the Tim Vine school.
It is, yeah.
Tim Vine, Lee Mack. I love it.
So this, it's all pretty much all the way through at this point until they hit the sort of set piece with the chairs.
Yeah.
That changed a little bit.
Yeah, I was trying to make sense of what changed, but it was quite difficult to...
The main thing seems to be that the chair, you don't get the bit. So Scaramouche goes to get he goes over to the wheelie office chair and puts his foot on it. And this says that it slowly rolls away and he ends up doing the splits. It doesn't. The moment he puts his foot on it, it slides out from under him and he gets flattened onto the floor. I think you can't make an office chair slowly roll away on concrete flooring.
No.
It's just gone.
Yeah, it flies. Yeah.
Oh, I like that they scripted him sitting in the leather armchair, the seat of which slowly sinks with a long, slow farting sound. It's brilliant that that's in the script.
Yeah. Yeah. The idea that they imagined that being what it was. And it is such a great moment.
Please continue.
And it's the fact he sat there like just shrugging his shoulders like, well, there's nothing I can do about this.
I wonder how many times it took him to get through that. To be honest, I'd love to see how long this took to film, because I imagine this was just corpse central, just losing the plot constantly because it's just so ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah, and some of the delivery of some of the lines as well. You just would not be able to keep a straight face. Yeah, and
I think that the beef rap is possibly one of the highlights of Reece Shearsmith's career. But they some timings changed.
Oh yeah, here.
Yeah, while they were talking about, so they start going through the plan.
Yeah.
There was where was it?
The guard takes the first sip of coffee while we get into position. Then in the script says, then 30 seconds later, boom. But that's 5 seconds later.
Which is a lot quicker. And then it goes from being 4 p.m. that they were going to meet back at to 6 p.m.
Yes. And then that's not reference, because there's I didn't see it. It might be there, but when they come back and Arlo is crying out in pain, it says that there's a caption that says 4:05 p.m. But I don't think there was a caption, was there?
No. I guess that's because...
Which would have been 6:05, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure the time was actually that necessary. Because
we don't know what time it is now.
And in theatre, it's the action itself tells you, okay, it's happened, and they're back.
They've all gone away. Something has happened. They're back now to continue the story. Yeah. Yeah, and then we're back on script, really, aren't we? For quite some time.
This is where it's just joke after joke after joke after joke.
This is just the relentless. There is no cheese. I can offer you a beef wrap. Fine. Yo, I come from a cow. I got lots of praise for my bolognese. Jesus. Is the next line in the script.
Yeah. Arlo. Yeah. And the carefully. Yeah, it's that whole, I'm starving, make me a cheese sandwich. Carefully? Yes, use a blunt knife.
No, that's worse. What the hell happened? It was an ambush. They knew we were coming. We must have a rat in the group. Bob Geldof. No, I mean someone from the police. Gordon Sumner. Who? Roger Daltrey. And there's another Scaramouche.
Yeah.
Well, we know. Beef wrap.
No, I bet this was fun to... Because it's the way they're all bouncing off one another as well. Like,
yes.
Again, as you say, like how many takes might it have been to get that right? But yeah, I'm sure they're all professionals. So just get it done and get out of there. Belt bag was changed to bum bag.
Yes.
For the fanny pack, fingers into her fanny pack line.
You.
Ugh. Yeah. They get away with quite a lot of stuff in this episode.
They do, yeah. Oh, there's a dreadful pickup line that's cut. Hi, babe. 4 + 6 = 8, but you plus me equals fate. That went.
Yeah, so this is from Mario to Columbina when
yes.
he is trying to get, what's he getting? Keys?
Into it from her bum bag, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. 4 + 6 = 10, actually.
Yeah. So he just has the line about, do you have an inhaler because you're taking my breath away?
Oh.
And actually that works much better because obviously he's got his hands in her bag. So actually saying I'm looking for something makes more sense than just being like 4 + 6 = 8, but you plus me equals fate. Like, yeah, but why have you got your hand in my bag? Yes. So I think that was cut because it didn't make a huge amount of sense. But I don't know.
I quite enjoyed on the next page when Pantalone comes back. He's actually scripted to shout "howl, howl, howl," and that's exactly what he does.
That, yeah.
Howl, howl, howl. Just it doesn't even say he was howling. It says,
yeah. I made a note of that. That's great. I noticed there was a weird cut. Just going back to the Mario Scaramouche interaction after the Mario Columbina. You're going a funny way about it. I'm trying to make him come to when Scaramouche is like kissing the dog.
Yeah.
And you're going a funny way about it. Go and look in his bag. There's some smelling salts. I think that line was slightly different, but there's they're in his bag, just cuts really, really short, as if he says something after bag, and there's no real ability to sort of fade edit it. But just something I noticed. Maybe not important, but it did like took me aback.
Jolted you.
It did. And we also get another Mario. He went to get some smelling salts for my pops rather than my father, which is in the script, and that
it is pops.
Is consistent with he calls him pops quite a lot
through.
And I do like that. I think calling him pops just adds to that sort of posh
Ra.
dynamic. The Ra, yeah.
Hang on, not the Ra. That's very different.
That's true.
The throat slit is so shocking.
Yes,
that whole bit where he slits her throat, turns around and then says, "You with me now," is pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's a great moment.
Patterson Joseph he's great.
He is good.
He's in all sorts of things. There's all sorts of characters, but he does dark pretty well.
Yeah. You're my wife now.
Yeah.
There's a little cut here about we're going to have to blast our way out underground. Pantalone says, now I estimate we've got less than 5 minutes before the filth get here. We're going to have to blast our way out underground. Which...
Where's the coward?
There's the cow. Where's the coward? Yeah.
Scaramouche.
Yeah, because they don't really blast their way out anywhere.
No, they all just kind of head off, don't they? Really,
it's what makes me laugh is the fact they've all there's like surrounded by cops, and they've all made it back. You know, obviously,
they've all gone back to the same place.
Arlo's injured, and what's her name's dead. Hortensia's dead. But they're all there, and the police aren't there. And it's okay. Yeah, they're going to be here. Why are they going to be here soon? I don't know. But we'll just leave. It'll be fine.
Well, it's the best thing to do. Scaramouche also doesn't get dragged over to Hortensia's body.
No.
Pantalone doesn't go and grab him. He kind of just leaves him where he is.
Yep.
He just shouts, "Do you see what you've done to your intended?"
And then we get the B plot.
The
subplot.
He wrote me a letter. The subplot. Harlequino gave it to me.
There's a little cut. Arlo saying Columbina gave it to me. I don't know who actually wrote it.
Mm-hmm. And then this builds up to the finding out that Doc and Hortensia were together.
Yeah.
And then there's the brilliant exchange, all the places that they went.
Yes.
Genoa, Chicago. No, she was a passenger. We landed at the airport. I can't remember which one. Alaska. There's no point now. She's dead.
That. There's no point. That's a great line.
There's no point.
You can't. She's dead. Remember.
And then all of it leading up to. No, there's no point in asking her. All leading up to, we plan to steal the diamonds from you and run away to the West Indies. Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah. Which is the anti-punchline is a great punchline. And that was also changed from the West Indies to Caribbean in the final thing.
I didn't notice that purely because I was just on tenterhooks waiting for the
anti-punchline.
The Jamaica that never came. The anti-punchline, yeah.
Yeah. That's great. I love the idea of setting up for a nothingness.
Bang, 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 bang.
And then
Trinidad and Tobago.
Like a balloon just squealing around the room. Then I didn't note any more changes until the end, really.
Well, there was a joke that was cut. Scholar goes to a funeral.
Yeah, that bit. Arlo.
The scholar goes to a funeral and says to the widow, "Do you mind if I say a word?" The widow says, "Yes." The scholar says, "Plethora." And the widow says, "Thanks, that means a lot." I don't think that's an Arlo joke, to be honest.
No, it's not. No, he's not. He doesn't really do jokes. His humour is misunderstanding things.
Yes, his humour comes from his own stupidity. So for him to tell a joke that's a play on words like that, I think is out of character.
Yeah.
That might be something the Doc comes out with at some point.
I was going to say, who would be the person that would actually tell a joke as a joke?
I reckon the Doc would.
Yeah.
Or he'd probably try and sneak some Latin, some talk in there about how he speaks Latin into that joke somehow. But that's a Doc joke, I think.
It's a Doc joke. Yeah, rather than Arlo essentially talking to himself.
Well, he's talking to Collie, isn't he? Because Collie's lying on the floor and he's over her.
He's trying to get her to come back to life because it's only a play. And it's just a script.
Collie.
Isn't it? Yeah, and then he discovers that the diamonds are not mints. Should be a bit of a painful discovery, chewing down on a...
There's literally nothing harder.
Literally nothing harder. At least you'll be able to afford some new teeth.
You would, I think, yeah. Unfortunately, the mints were actually diamonds. Fortunately, this meant he was able to afford new teeth.
Unfortunately, the diamonds got seized by the police.
Fortunately, that was just Gordon Sumner and Stuart Copeland, who were able to escort him to a dentist.
Very
there
good.
You go.
Well done.
And that's it.
Happy
Thank
ending.
You. In a way, I guess so.
The Echo does not drop down from the rafters.
He doesn't. He just sort of runs out from a back room, doesn't he? He appears.
I think I quite like. You can see his silhouette waiting just in the next little room.
Oh, for the call.
Oh, that's a really nice nod to the theatre. You just see him.
He's in the wings,
and then he's on, and yeah, he's just stood there. And he goes through the door and then does his flips.
You're up, Kev.
Yeah. Or whoever did those flips before.
Whoever did those, probably not Kev.
I don't think it was Kev. There was a stunt coordinator, and I was trying to think what else, and a stunt person. I don't know if there were any other stunts.
No, there might have been stunt people on set for guns and things.
And slitting.
Firing blanks and slits and... Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Because when you've got guns on set, even if you think they're only containing blanks, just ask Alec Baldwin.
Serious business, yes, indeed.
Still don't understand how that can possibly happen. No idea.
Yeah.
How does that happen? No.
Yeah,
just don't.
No idea.
It's the equivalent of not bringing a gun. Don't bring gun with actual bullets.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Oh.
Yeah.
Awful.
Nothing like that here, though.
No.
Well, that's unfortunately, someone was shot on the set of Rust. Fortunately, nothing like that happened on Inside Number 9.
So we can all sleep peacefully tonight. Yeah. And that's it. Apart from as we said earlier, the curtain call didn't happen. And yeah, I'm glad it didn't.
It's funny how after our initial one of these, we were accused of not really saying anything. And then it turns out on the third one of these that there wasn't much to say. Certain nice symmetry to that, isn't there? Who looks stupid now?
Oh, yeah, that still stings, that review. Oh man. I was hoping for a really concise and intelligent summary of this episode.
Well, this was concise.
Unfortunately, I got neither. I don't know who set your expectations up, but certainly if you listen to any previous episodes, yeah, your expectations wouldn't have been that high. So, you know.
Not that we're bothered.
No, not that. I've let go of that. It's fine. Yeah. Yeah, so I think we're done.
Forever. We're done professionally.
Well, I think we've got to sort of ready ourselves for Simon Says, which is
yes.
Yeah, I mean that's a bruiser to people like us, isn't it?
It's about us. I think it might actually just be an episode about us. We are Nick Mohammed.
Because all of the pressure,
Nick Mohammed is us.
All the pressure we've put on Stephen Reese over the years to change and do things that we want them to do. Yeah, it must hurt them.
Yeah, but everyone's talked about how wonderful all of these series have been, and I'd therefore like to think that we've played a part in shaping them.
Yeah, well, without us, people wouldn't realise how good they are and how much they fit into 30 minutes. Yeah.
Or that it's even possible for a deer to witness a murder.
Exactly.
And suicidally throw itself in front of a train. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Or realising that it's all just about communication.
It's all about communication.
And names.
I think there's a lot of communication in this episode. There's quite a lot of miscommunication. Definitely. There's some cross wires. There is, a line of communication between Columbina and
the audience,
the police, and the audience,
and the audience.
Her communication is going in all sorts of different directions.
God, this is like the bad old days, isn't it? Let's call this Andy's tenuous links.
Yeah, the love triangle: Mario, Hortensia, and Scaramouche. There's communication going on, but there's a misunderstanding at the heart of it. All of them think they're talking about somebody else. So there you go. You're right, Steve. This is about communication.
That's not what I said. That's not what I don't. You don't know. No.
Good. Yeah, and if you want to communicate with us, you can get in touch.
Well done.
Via email. Drop us a message, aquietnightinside09@gmail.com, or get in touch via Blue Sky at AQNIN9. And if you fancy dropping us a few quid to cover the costs of hosting the podcast and future episodes and all that sort of stuff, then we would be very grateful if you could do that via our PayPal me link in the show notes. Thank you to everyone who has done that over the past few months. All right. Anything else to say, young Stephen?
No.
Okay. Well, have a lovely week. See you soon.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.